Okay, and now we come to Zabiha and non-Zabiha. Many of you might have seen in the markets, whether in a small Arab market or Muslim market, the word halal meat or halal meat right here. And here it comes to a different section where Muslims have two scholarly opinions going over the slaughtering of the animal. One opinion says that the animal should be slaughtered with the name of Allah. Before it is slaughtered, it must be named. And so this opinion says that if not a Muslim has slaughtered it, then you should not eat it. And the reason Allah's name should be said is firstly because we should always remember Allah before we do anything, or God. And that's why I began in the name of God, to remind myself that I'm doing this for the sake of God and for Him alone. Another reason would be to remember that it was only by the will of God that we had this animal, slaughtered him, and will be able to eat him. But the other opinion tells you that from the verses of the Quran, that the people of the book, we can eat the same that they eat. So if they slaughter, it's okay for us to eat. And this is where the two different opinions come from. And if you're wondering, I'm from the second opinion, so I can go to McDonald's. I'm good. Okay, so we went over what are we supposed to eat and what are we not supposed to eat. Let's talk about when we're supposed to eat. And over here, you see Ramadan and fasting. Ramadan is one of the months of the Islamic lunar calendar, and during that month, Muslims fast. So Muslims don't fast the whole month, because that's impossible, but they fast every day from dawn to dusk, refraining from eating or drinking, and that includes water. So anything that normally we could eat, we can't eat or drink during fasting, and this includes smoking as well. Also included would be following your desires, and so the sexual desire is also, we're forbidden from that during the time of fasting. But after dusk, it's okay. So, why do we fast? We fast, first of all, again, because God ordered us to. And we also fast because fasting gives us a sense of God consciousness. And it says in the verses of the Quran, it tells us, "O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed on you so that you may become from the righteous." And the term that is used is prescribed as a kind of medicine for us, to heal us, to make us better spiritually and physically. And so these are just a few of the reasons we fast. So who is allowed not to fast? Let's start with who should fast. Any Muslim who is able and who has reached puberty must fast. And this, whether he is a man or a woman, old or young, as long as they hit puberty. But who isn't allowed to fast? Who is allowed not to fast, excuse me? People who have not reached puberty. And so a 7-year-old does not have to fast. If he's not old enough to know why or what we're doing, then fasting is lifted upon them. However, it is encouraged that they practice, so when they reach the puberty, they know how and what they're doing, and so they don't die the first time they do it. So actually, when I was younger, and this was because I was in the Islamic School of Peace Academy, many of us when we were younger, we tried to fast either 2 hours or until breakfast or until lunch, and then the cool guys would be able to fast the whole time. And so we'd all try to do that. And so when we became old enough, it wasn't a problem for us. We were used to it. So who else does not need to fast? Those who cannot endure fasting due to illness, and here I'm talking about temporary illness. So if you have the flu or you need to take medicine or anything, you don't have to fast those days. But then when you're able to fast, you should make up those days after the month is over. So if I miss 2 days, I have to make them up after the fasting is over. The mentally unstable, and here we go back to the younger kids. People who don't understand why we're doing this or what we're supposed to do, fasting is lifted upon them. The pregnant and nursing woman, and because God, out of His wisdom and mercy, He knows the importance of food and nutrition for the nursing and pregnant woman and for the baby. And so they do not have to fast until they are able to. When they're able to, they make up the fast. And people too weak to fast. And what I mean here is the chronically ill. Someone who is either too weak to fast or who cannot because of some problem that he has. And they don't make up the fasting, but they just go, and for every day that they miss, they should feed a hungry or needy person to get in the spirit of fasting and generosity in Ramadan. So after fasting, we come to Eid. Eid is a holiday for the Muslims, and we have 2 holidays every year. The first one is after Ramadan is over. We celebrate breaking our fast and hoping that God will accept our good deeds. And usually, even though we're not supposed to, everyone stuffs their faces that day. They wake up just to eat. That's what happens with me and my family. And whatever weight we lost while we were fasting, we gained that day. And the second Eid, during the end of the year, is Eid al-Adha, or the celebration of the sacrifice. And this is in commemoration of Prophet Abraham's willingness to follow Prophet Abraham's willingness to follow God's command to sacrifice the most precious thing to him, his son. And so in commemoration of this, and Prophet Abraham's willingness, and God's mercy, because God substituted this sacrifice with a sheep, we do the same thing. We follow Prophet Abraham's rituals that day. And even when we do so, we remember the poor and hungry. Muslims usually divide the meat into 3. 1/3 for them and their relatives, and that's the celebration part of it. And 1/3 goes to friends, and the last third goes to the poor. And when you give it to the poor, you're not telling them, you're poor, so take this. You're telling them, happy holidays. Get with us in the spirit of the holiday. And so food is not just a necessity for our physical needs, but also for our social and spiritual needs, and to bring us all together. Thank you.